Hi everybody, I'm Julia. This is Julia in the Garden, and today is my first tour of the potager for the year 2020. And it is May 20th. I'm getting into a late start here, and I just kept waiting to get a lot of work done for it to be perfect to show you, and that's never going to happen. And that was just a silly thought, because really I want to show you my progress throughout the year. Now, a theme you will hear over and over again today is there is a ton of weeding to do. The grass is coming up everywhere. I am battling it as I can, but I also have a lot of work I'm doing putting in the berry garden and some other projects, so I'm a little behind. I'm going to weed as I plant over the next couple weeks, and I'm hoping to do a garden tour every 2 to 3 weeks so we can see the progress throughout this growing season. But let's just go ahead and start the tour. So here I am at the main gate here. It faces the house, and there is a tiny little bed, it's very shallow, in front of the fence here, and this is going to be filled with flowers. Now, as of yet, it hasn't been planted, with a couple of exceptions that I'll show you. Hey buddy, is that a mask? You look like Zorro. Down at this end here, we're all the way on the northern end here, I replanted or transplanted some echinacea, and it's coming up beautifully. Hopefully you can see that in the midst of all of the grass here that needs to be taken out. But that's going to be a beautiful purple coneflower that I transplanted from elsewhere in the property, and you'll see another piece of it later. Let's keep going into the garden. So there are a lot more beds this year. I want to say ready to go. They are basically ready to go, but so much weeding needs to be done. And they're going to be filled within the next couple weeks. I'm going to start over here. You will see there's some trays out that have been hardened off and are kind of just sitting and waiting to be planted. And there's 3 different kinds of lettuce here that we planted in an earlier video. I think the April in the garden video that I will link here. And it's coming up. It needs to be thinned. I'm hoping to get some heads. So I'm going to try to thin that. I did just weed it, I swear. The grass is already coming up. And after the 3 rows of lettuce here, there is a row of arugula, which I need to harvest actually, and a row of spinach. Spinach is looking great. The arugula, not as much, but it's still edible. And then this is some broccoli. You will see I have a bunch of brassicas in my market garden beds, but I ran out of room over there for where I was going to put them. So I've been sticking brassicas throughout the garden in random spots. If we cross the path here, this is the gate, which I was just in front of, the other side of the gate, and over here some more brassicas. So we have cauliflower, and this is a cabbage. I believe it's a green cabbage. And then I did put some sunflower seeds in, and a couple are sprouting, which is great. The birds left me a couple. I'll probably replant a few of them as well. And you will see more trays here. On this side here is going to be a lot of flowers, and actually a lot of them are going to be my children's flowers. So with the exception of a little bit right on the edges here that I'm going to plant, we have my son has a garden here, and then he's going to have an equivalent garden here for flowers, and same with my daughter here and here. So these were their garden spaces for last year. They have not yet helped me with weeding, so we're going to see when it gets to planting some of their stuff. Hopefully they will help a little bit more with the weeding. As we move here, I've got some herbs and flowers that are ready to be planted. Hopefully it will be done over the next week. My nasturtiums, a couple of them are flowering. I'm not sure if I should start them later next year. They're so pretty. Those are I think those are the Bloody Mary ones. And we've got some more stuff over there. Some of these are going to be planted in the orchard as well, but we'll get to that. This is where my daughter had flowers last year, and these Johnny Jump Ups are so glorious right now. They are just loving life, and you can see a few Dynamite lavender pansies back there, and I actually almost skipped over my son's black pansies there that are thriving. And this here is Sweet William, which is actually a biennial, so luckily we left it, and hopefully it will flower this year because we planted it last year, and we're going to start some more of that later this year and get it in the ground so that it'll flower next year, and put it probably on the other side. We're going to move a lot of her flowers to the other side. I'm kind of going around the edge right now on this front part, and then I'll circle back around. Okay, so on the side here that still needs to be weeded, I've got more brassicas. There's a couple pansies here. Let's see. These are tiger's eye violets, which a lot of the things over here got a little sunburned. I don't know if this is a particularly warm spot, but I'm hoping it'll bounce back. And then this is a combination. There's red cabbage in the back and different kinds of kales in the front. They do have the little labels on them. I will probably get better labels there. And I need to weed and probably water things this evening too. I just wanted to make sure I got this video in, so more chores will be done afterwards. And this is more cabbage here, 2 different kinds. So I think this is like the Gloria Van Cousin here, which is a green cabbage, and then farther is the Violaceo di Verona. It's in other videos, so I can always, if you have questions, ask below, and I'd be happy to answer. Turning this way, this is my first market garden bed. So these 2 here, and then over there. So this is the first market garden bed. This is all onions. So I started these from seed. It's my first time growing onions. And I have 3 different varieties here. There's Red Geneva, and then, what is this one? The Ailsa Craig and Dakota Tears on the end there. And I planted them in 2 different ways. So most of them are single, but then I did some clumps. I'm trying out Charles Dowding's method of planting some in clumps here. And I'm really excited. They all seem to be growing really well. We do still have some dandelions. I keep getting dandelion leaves that I'm working on it. I'm working on all the weeding. I did make myself quite a bit of work here, which people keep telling me, but I don't mind. I'm gonna keep battling the weeds and do my best for my plants. And one day I'm hoping, if I keep using the no-dig method and I just keep weeding them, I'm hoping as the years go on, it'll get easier, because this was all field, so it's trying to turn back into that right now. Okay, so here is where all those sticks are. It's gonna be tomatoes, so I'm gonna need to clear that and make space and set up the structure for that. So I'm hoping to do a video for you on that. And then let me go this way. Back here, again, more tomatoes on this side as well. This is where they were last year. I'm standing at the southern gate here. You may have noticed I don't actually have gates in yet. That is on my to-do list, and I've just been so consumed with my plants and garden beds that I haven't done it yet. So I'll get to that at some point. And you will see when I get it in, I promise. All right, I'm gonna move this way because these aren't planted yet, obviously, and hopefully next time or the time after they will be. So here is my brassica bed. And yeah, so I have kale over here. And for some reason, none of this seems to be as badly sunburned. I did harden them all off. They were all doing beautifully. These just seem happier than stuff in the other place. I'm not sure if maybe the mulch is the reason, so I'll have to look into that. But if you look here, there's broccoli and cauliflower and cabbages, and then kale on either end, different kinds. And they are looking beautiful. They have grown quite a bit actually since I got them in the ground, so I'm really hopeful. I was not successful with my brassicas. Well, my kale grew okay, but and I grew like 1 tiny head of cabbage, but I was not successful with my broccoli or cauliflower last year, and so I'm trying again, and I think I need to leave them in longer, and yeah, I'm just gonna do my best. I also did order some hoops and a covering for this, so I need to get that on, because I've seen a couple cabbage whites around, and they just got a lot of pressure from them last year, so I'm gonna check the leaves and hopefully get the hoops over those soon. This weedy bed back here is asparagus, and I will not have posted yet. I have a video that I'm going to do on planting the asparagus. I'm kind of waiting to do the next step and put it all for you together. But they're in these trenches and they're starting to grow, and it's so exciting. Look at that. Doesn't that look delicious? My family, we love asparagus. And I totally need to weed this as well. I told you that was going to be a theme this time. But we love asparagus. It's all coming up now, and then I'm going to do another layer of garden soil to bring the trenches up to level. And yeah, and then let it just grow this year. We're not harvesting it all this year. These are going to grow into large fronds, and there'll be this walking path that we've mulched in the middle. I'm so excited. So excited. It's going to be magical. All right, I'm just going to keep coming around this way for right now. So these 2 raised beds here on this end are basically for root veggies and things of the like. So this has already been planted. Well, this was direct sown mostly with beets and carrots and radishes and rutabagas at the end, and it so desperately needs to be weeded and watered. I am hoping to get some more straw. You'll see straw in some beds to help me mulch once more of this comes up. And then in the middle here I had some sage, and I had 4 huge sage plants and they were covering this last year. So I left 2 and it's coming back beautifully. And then I transplanted the other 2 and I'll show you those in a minute. The bed behind has not actually been planted in yet, but I have leeks ready to go in, and then I think I'm gonna sow some more rutabagas and carrots and such in there as well. Okay, I'm turning around and moving into my herb circle and herb area, which I'm so excited about. It's mostly not planted, but there's a couple things in here. Last year, I had dug out the herb circle, but then I let it get all overgrown. So I fixed that up. I got these stones around it, and I just love how it looks. I have a bunch of extra stones, so I am considering just in this area, edging out the inner part of the outer beds, I guess, with the stone as well. So we'll see how that goes. This makes me happy. Okay, so we have a couple things in here, and let me show you how it's doing. This is one piece of sage that I transplanted, and this is going to be an herb wheel with medicinal herbs. And next to that is German thyme, which is growing beautifully. I started that from seed. Most plants I'm putting in, I did start from seed with a few exceptions, and I'll let you know. I'm panning over here. Most of the beds have not been planted yet. And again, I've got a lot of stuff going in the next few weeks. And then, okay, here is another piece of the echinacea here. And again, it's coming up and I'm super excited about that. Okay, let's see. There's nothing in this middle bed here, but I'm excited for, well, oh, I take that back. There's some kale, but it belongs kind of with the other circle. So I'll get to that when I get to that circle. Let me come over here just for a moment because I transplanted another piece of sage here, and it's coming up, but there's also I don't know, this is attached to it, so I need to get rid of that, and I'm just gonna get that piece of grass while I'm there. And another another German thyme plant here as well. The idea is to put a lot of culinary herbs in this bed, and there is overlap between culinary and medicinal herbs, so there will be herbs and other plants that are in more than one place. Okay, all right, the PTP, I'm gonna share that next. I did just clean it up. In the April video, we planted peas and most of them came up. We've had a couple that we just replanted. I think there were just 3 spots. So when we planted, I originally had cardboard. So we had grass and the old vines that I had just kind of thrown down as a mulch over the winter, and I just put cardboard over it. Put some good soil in the hole as I was planting, and cut a hole in the cardboard, put soil in, and planted the peas in there, and then put the straw over all of that. And it was just a mess. I found myself continuously sweeping straw out of the holes, and I don't know, it was a mess. So I went through yesterday, actually. These peas had already come up quite a bit, and I cleaned it out. So I took off the cardboard and I weeded underneath it and took out all the old debris. I think next year, if I were gonna use it as mulch, that either in the fall or in the spring, before I plant, I would go and either throw it in compost or just chip it down smaller if I'm gonna put it down, because it was a mess. So anyway, but I will mulch. I will mulch more next fall because it made a huge difference in the places where I mulched heavily and I didn't as far as grass and weed pressure this spring. So that is a note to me. But yeah, I'm very excited about these peas coming up, and I did end up restringing. I didn't think I needed it at first, but it was looking a little wonky, and so I took the string off and I just did 1 row at a time here instead of kind of working my way up, so that if one broke, it'd be easier to replace. And I didn't have enough to go all the way up with the string that was left, which is fine. I mean, the peas, when they get high, I'll just later put more twine or string on there as they get taller. And we will be planting beans probably in a few weeks, not quite yet. I want the soil to warm up just a little bit more, but the peas like it cold. So I pretty much I'm at the end of when I can plant peas this spring before it gets too warm for them. But they should hopefully grow nicely. I love coming out to the garden and getting sugar snap peas and eating them, and I'm excited to actually save more peas this year, to actually get them inside, shell them, blanch them, and freeze them, hopefully, to store more food this year. I'm also just really excited to see the kids play in here. How fun is this? I think I might play in there. I am finally going to move into that middle circle with the quince tree. Isn't that gorgeous? Okay, unfortunately my very favorite daffodils are already done. I will insert a picture here. They smelled delicious and they were all like fluffy and romantic, and I love these ones too. These are beautiful. Yeah, I love these daffodils. I ordered, I think it was a pink mix, and I think it was from Fedco, but I'm not 100% sure, so I will put it on the screen here and I will link it below as well. And they're up in the orchard as well, so I will show you that in a separate video. I'll do a quick orchard tour for the spring. So with the exception of this bed here that's between the two, it's going to be a combination, probably mostly flowers with some veggies thrown in. The other beds around this tree here are going to be mostly vegetables, but this is really where I'm playing with the idea of the potager, and I'm trying to make it artistic in its planting. So I've started that actually with some kale. So each of the inside corners here, you'll see that stick, and there's actually kale, a different kind, in each corner. This one is scarlet kale, and I'm hoping they grow up beautifully, and they really are beautiful and interesting plants. This one I think is the ragged jack or Russian kale. Some of these ones got kind of sunburned too, but they look like they're getting better, so I'm hoping they revive themselves. And I can also start them from seed, and hopefully they would be okay. And I might start more elsewhere later in the year actually, just for harvesting purposes. So yeah, so they don't have the other veggies in them yet, but they're gonna have beans and squash and nasturtium along the edges as well, and I'm really excited to see how these fill out, and I can kind of use a artistic license here. The two beds you see there, one is for cucumbers and one is for Three Sisters bed, where I'm going to do corn and squash and beans, and we're just going to try that and see how that works. And then of course I have all of my edge beds here, and there's going to be a lot of stuff going on there. I actually want to today get a few more peas in and see if I can grow them along that fence, because again, as I said, I'm running out of time for planting peas. But we just finished those beds, I think 2 days ago. My husband helped me with this side, and we do have a little bit more to do. We are so close though, and compared to last year at this time, I mean, this was basically just a field with a few raised beds in it. So this is amazing for me to have all this planting space. I'm gonna walk this way now. In the back there, you'll see we're gonna do another bed in the back. Let me just address this for a minute. This I grew beans, the noodle beans and peas on last year, and it was fun, but the snow kind of did it in. And I do want to have an arch here, or an arch or an arbor, and I really want to grow cucamelons up it, so I really need to come up with a solution. So I'm hoping over the next week we can pull this out, and I'm debating if I do have more fencing, so I am debating if I want to this year just put new fencing up and have it hopefully, because it did hold up for the season, it was just the snow that did it in. So that's one option, but it's not ideal. I would really like to get cattle panels, so I just haven't been able to figure out how to do that. So we'll see what happens with it. Another idea I have for this year is to kind of snip off the archway part on the top and just have things growing up the side, and then it's less of a covered tunnel, but at least it would give us growing space. We'll see, and stay tuned and if you have ideas, let me know. I just need something I can do that's simple, at least for this year right now, and then for next year I can look into a more permanent solution. Okay, over here obviously needs a lot of weeding. I feel like the strawberries always need weeding. Okay, so this is our strawberry patch from last year, and I actually stuck a label there because I have two kinds of strawberries now. This side is the Mara des Bois, and it is an ever-bearing strawberry. So you'll see I already have some flowers. Look how pretty. Hello, strawberries. Now, when I put this bed here and planted this, if you watch my videos from last year, you may know I had my husband actually dig me a bed here. This was not a raised bed, and I planted borage in with the strawberries, and the borage got so huge it shaded the strawberries, and then grass grew in, and they survived and got completely shaded, and I got no strawberries out of them. So I set aside this raised bed, and then I didn't leave enough room in the back for my mower. So that grass is there. I did once already this year kind of pull it up by hand, and which is just silly, or clippers. And so I'm going to do that again and just see if maybe if I have enough extra mulch at the end to put more cardboard and mulch back there and see if I can cover that up. That's kind of my thought as of right now. That was just like a really silly mistake I made. So that's okay. I can't really move it right now. So we'll make it work. Over here, I just planted these a couple weeks ago, bare root, and they're looking gorgeous. And I actually, embarrassingly, still have a couple bare root ones to plant in the berry garden. I need to do that. But these are jewel strawberries, and these, I believe, are June bearing. So we'll get a heavier crop in June. And I did just plant these this year, so I'm not sure that we're going to get a crop out of them this year. My guess is we won't until next year. But look, they are growing beautifully, and that makes me super happy. In this corner is an elder tree, and I did plant some strawberries underneath that too, which are looking beautiful. And look how bushy, and I think we're actually getting flowers this year, which is super, super exciting. Look at this. It's starting. So I am not sure. I did plant some elsewhere in the property, and I'm not sure that they're close enough to pollinate it. So we'll have to see, because you are supposed to have several. We'll see how it does this year. And then I might just find a closer place to put one or two, because I honestly don't remember what variety this is. So I have two varieties across from each other up in another location that I'll show you in my orchard tour. But it looks like this strawberry is getting some flowers as well. I'm going to plant some more stuff underneath it actually, and try to make an elder guild. And I'm probably going to end up mulching like all around it, try to kill the grass there and just plant stuff up. I'm thinking I would love to have this be kind of a wildish corner and put some violets and other stuff in. And yes, I know they spread and I love them so much. I don't care. Even like the things like the dandelions people see as weeds, like I'm happy to have them. I do pull them out of my garden bed sometimes, and then I try to use them and harvest the leaves and the flowers and the roots. So I don't see that as a problem as much. Back here is going to be another bed. It's going to expand a bit back there, and hopefully I can fit a bench in, kind of in the middle, but I don't have that bench yet. So yes, hopefully that'll also happen before the next tour, and I will start to plant in it because I have ideas for things I want to plant in there. All right, more raised beds. Well, here is our garlic. Also desperately needs to be weeded, especially the softneck at the other end, but it is growing beautifully. Look at that. I'm very happy with how that's growing. We have 4 varieties here. We have, now see if I'd weeded it would be easier to read this. A Russian red rocambole type. There is a Siberian red here. There is a German extra hardy porcelain type. And those 3 are all hard neck. And then this is a soft neck type here and desperately needs to be weeded. So this is our soft neck type here. So I believe the hard neck types are all supposed to give me scapes. I don't see any yet, which is fine. I know I'm supposed to cut them off and I'd like to eat them. So if you have garlic, let me know what time of year the scapes come. This is my first time I've successfully grown it, planted it in the fall. It's just so satisfying to see this all doing so well. So happy, especially this time of year when there's not a lot coming up yet. I have backed up a little bit here. We've got 3 beds left and they all have potatoes in them. I ran out of straw for the last one. So I have, let's see, I think it's 7 different varieties of potatoes, and most of them came from Fedco seeds, and I got the storage, like the keepers mix. So they're supposed to be good storage potatoes because the kind I got last year were not good storage potatoes. So I wanted to try some. So here we've got a Kennebec and a Lehigh. So I just have 1 row of each right there. This side is all one kind. This is an Adirondack red, which is kind of pinkish in the middle. So I'm really excited about that. So is my daughter. And those are from the keepers set from Fedco seeds. Moving over here, I have, let's see, Caribou is in the front, and then a red Northland is in the back. So the Caribou is from the keepers set, and the red Northland is the kind I got last year. And I had some that we hadn't eaten that kind of got shriveled and sprouted, so I planted them and hopefully they'll come up. We'll have to see how it goes. But those are not great keepers. Those are better like early new potatoes, which I did not realize when I got them last time. Then the back bed has Magic Molly, which is a purple fingerling potato that I just really like. Every time I see them in the store, I love to get them and roast them and put them with, well, anything. But if I'm roasting potatoes, I love to put the purple ones in there. So I decided I should try to grow them. And then behind that is the Katadyn potatoes, which is another keeper. So yeah, I think those are all the beds right now. One last thing that I wanted to show you. We are outside the southern gate, which faces our driveway, and I did plant some teddy bear sunflowers on either side. There's a couple coming up there, and I think just one on the other side. I'm going to have to replant some. But I'm so excited. I planted a couple of those really late last year, and they're so cute when they came up. So I'm going to plant them elsewhere in the garden as well, but I'm really excited to see those little sprouts. Thank you so much for joining me on tour number 1 of the potager in 2020. I don't think I mentioned it before, but I am in Vermont in the United States in zone 5A. So this is where we are in 5A right now in Vermont. These last few weeks have been super busy, and these next few weeks are going to be super busy, and hopefully I will have much more to show you in those few weeks. So in 2 to 3 weeks, I will do another potager tour, and you can see what the status is then. In the meantime, also look out for a spring orchard tour, and hopefully I will finish the berry garden so I can reveal it to you. Until then, I hope you are having fun out in your gardens, and happy gardening, friends.